Hi everyone, Hannah here. So this is the June mixed media unboxing and tutorial. First, I want to go ahead and show you what you will receive in your kit. So this is the premium kit with the full-size jars, and we have the dark velvet and the vintage rose, shabby chic wax paste, black gesso, and magic potion effect paste, which is really cool, and I'm excited to use it again. You'll get a palette knife and a paintbrush and a stencil. Each stencil will be different in the kit, and we are altering a 8x8 shadow box. I bought these and just painted them with gesso, just to cover the back side, and I thought it would really be fun to just decorate the inside, make it like a shadow box. So you'll get this really cool wooden frame. It measures, I think, about 3.5 by 5 inches. Some of these pretty flowers, and this Cherish chipboard piece, which I absolutely love, and some metal pieces. And I've also put together, just a mixture of metal beads. So you'll get 10, a mix of 10 of those. And then a little bead bag. I just thought it would be neat just to put some little seed beads, and then of course the micro beads and the Say-It-In crystals. I absolutely love those. And then chipboard pieces, so you'll get 5 of those in your kit for the premium kit. The basic kit gets 3 of those, and then the cute little wooden spool, since we're doing kind of a sewing theme this month. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing that I'm going to do, now I'm just taking a wide brush. It's what I had on hand. And I am just going to go ahead and cover it up with, with some gesso, with the black gesso. But I'm not going to cover up the entire thing. What the idea I have in my head is to kind of make the wood look distressed. So there's going to be parts that's going to be solid black, and then there's parts that'll be just a little bit of black on it. I just, almost like a burnt wood effect, I guess you could say. So I think that looks about good. So now I'm going to set it aside, and I'm going to use up the rest of the black gesso and go ahead and just paint inside our altered box here. And I'm not looking for a thick coat. This black gesso is nice and thick, and it does spread pretty good. But parts of the inside of the box, I think I'll leave it where a little bit of the brown will show through, just to kind of give it like that old wood look. That's kind of what I'm going for. Something, almost kind of rustic in a way. The idea that I had was, kind of new meets old. So I thought, have the wooden frame kind of distressed looking, and then the inside of our shadow box kind of distressed. And then we're adding our new items, our chipboard, our flowers, the pretty paint, the sparkly effect paste. So it's kind of new meets old. That's kind of what I'm going for here. So hopefully it'll turn out pretty good. So I'm just adding the last little coat here, and then I'm going to let that dry, which it doesn't take too long to dry. And I'm going to go ahead and place my stencil down and add some of this Magic Potion effect paste. It's really pretty, and we've done it before a few months ago over a white canvas, so this time putting it over a black background, I think it's going to have a different effect, so I'm excited to see how it's going to look. And so I just basically figured out where I'm going to put my frame, because that's going to be the focal point of my project. And so I just want to stagger this out to the side a little bit and go ahead and put the paste down. So I went ahead and let the paste dry, and now I'm going to glue down my picture frame. So, and I'm putting a pretty good bit of glue because I want it to adhere really well and stay on the project, to the background there as long as possible. So I'm putting a pretty good thick, a thick layer of glue there, and basically just starting to assemble everything. I had to play around with it for a while to see how I wanted everything to look. And I'm going to cut this piece of chipboard in half. That is something that I like to do. It helps spread your supplies further, and so I'll do that a lot, where I'll cut a piece of chipboard in half, cut a flower in half, like for when I'm going to tuck it behind something, and I tend to tuck to the side and the bottom, or the side and the top. That seems to be kind of the theme that I like to do there. So I'm still gluing all of my embellishments down. You'll see some hands in the video. My husband and daughter were helping me with my project this month. So I'm basically just gluing some different things down. I definitely want to use this wooden spool. I almost forgot about it, and then I was like, oh, I got to put that in there since we're doing kind of a sewing theme, or I'm kind of doing a sewing theme, I guess. But so anyway, I'm just kind of gluing everything down, and then I let it dry, and then I start adding some of this purple paint, which most of the time I will go ahead and add the paint first. On this one, I did not exactly know how wide my project would end up being, and I wanted to add the paint on as a thick layer. And the reason why is because I'm going to sprinkle some of those seed beads right into the paint. So it does make it a little challenging when you're trying to paint around your embellishments. So if that's something that you don't want to bother with, then maybe draw some little lines or dots on how wide and tall your project is going to be. That way to know where you're going to put your paint at. And but it ended up working out pretty good, and I didn't get paint on anything too much. So I'm just adding it on thick layer of the dark velvet paint, and I basically just kind of do an outline of parts of, you know, the focal point there, and then by me putting it on thick, I can just drop those seed beads right into it, and you know, it'll stick to the paint as it dries and, you know, work like a glue. So I let the paint and the seed beads dry, and now I'm coming back with the vintage rose paint. Really pretty color, and I think it'll really add a nice highlight to the project. You know, just to kind of lighten it up a bit. It is a little dark, and I do want to see the texture of the seed beads. So the idea is to just paint right over those with this lighter color paint, and that texture of the seed beads shows up really well. And it brightens up the, you know, the project as well. And again, I'm still kind of doing a thick layer on where those seed beads are, just to cover up the color of the seed beads. But now on this frame here, I don't want to completely cover it with the paint. So I'm kind of doing like I did with the purple or the dark velvet paint. I want some of that black and some of that wood to show through. So some places I'm putting it a little darker, and some places I'm putting it a little lighter. I feel like overall it's really going to give a nice effect without completely covering up the wood, because I do want this to look, I want it to have like a vintage feel to it. So that's kind of what I'm going for by letting some of that wood grain show through, and some of the black gesso. So I really like how it's turning out so far. So I let the pink paint dry. Now I'm going to start adding the micro beads that's in your little bag. It's kind of a goldish silver color. And I poured some out in the bag, but it kind of gets messy. So I'm just taking some glue, putting it on the paintbrush, and basically just dipping it in the micro beads and spreading it around. That I really like that way. Seems to work a whole lot better. So I let that dry. Now I'm coming with the shabby pink wax paste, and I'm just going to apply it on different parts of the layout. I thought what I would do on this frame, cover up some of that vintage rose paint just to tone down some of the shine. And then I'm going to add a little bit on some of the metal pieces here. And then I'm just adding a little bit on top of where I had painted part of that stencil with the vintage rose, I just wanted to come back over it with some of that shabby pink wax paste, and it just kind of helps tone down some of the shine. Kind of what I'm going for is to have it fade out a little bit in the background. So some of the seed beads, they did not stick to the paint, so I just dumped them out, and I'm just going to glue them down. I'm just kind of adding a few dots of glue and then just putting them down in the glue. When it dries, the glue will be clear, so you won't be able to see the glue. And now to finish off the project, I'm gluing down some of these Say-It-In crystals. It does come with an, a little sticky back to it, adhesive back, but over time that's going to lose its stickiness and going to fall off. Especially here in Texas where it's very humid, that stickiness is not going to last long at all. So I'm going to go ahead and just glue the back of all of them, and that way it'll stay stuck for a pretty long time. Well, that's pretty much it for this tutorial. I really had a whole lot of fun making this. I surprise myself some months when I just absolutely do not know what I'm going to put together, and this was one of those months. So I hope that you have enjoyed this tutorial, and feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions at all. Thank you so much for watching.